Alright, welcome back. This is a tutorial on effects, nesting, keyframing effects, and effects presets. So let's get started. Alright, so I'm just going to load up some footage here. Oh, handsome guy alert. Alright, so here is a handsome guy doing his thing. Yeah, whoop-de-doop-de. Alright, so what we want to do, let's say we want to apply an effect. So I'm just going to close this out. What I do into my effects panel, and let's go to, I'll do a flop. So just, it's like a horizontal flip. Alright, that's cool. There's my effect. Alright. Now, what if I want to do something else? Let's say, just a second. I better use something that you guys have. What? Oh, yeah, that's wrong. Work slate. Oh, wait. I should just go to blend. Okay, so blend. What if I want to put the 3D warp on there, okay? So I take this 3D warp and take a look. If I put it over there, boom. Alright, so, but where is my flip? So, let's go back to film, image, flip. If I put this on, so it's, oh, that's a flip. Or did I put a flip-flop? No, I put a flip on it. Alright, but if I do a flip, but then my 3D warp disappears. So, this is the thing. In order to apply multiple effects, I have to double click on this layer, on the clip itself. 3, 2, 1, double click. And it gives me this kind of 1.1, 1.2, which is known as stepping into the clip. Now, I can add on a second effect. So now there's my color correction effect. So if I wanted to get out of there, I can either just double click and go back to normal. If I wanted to access that effect, I can step into it. This takes me into the next layer of it, and I can step into it again to add another effect, maybe a blur effect. I'll step out, or you can see it all in the timeline by this. So that is how to apply multiple effects. Now let's begin on actually tweaking these effects. So which one should we? Let's work on a color correction one first. I will go into my effect editor, and so let's see, hue, saturation, HSL, hue, saturation, and luminosity. I'll go into controls, master, and I'll just bring down the saturation, make it black and white. So there's that effect. Alright, cool. Now that I've got one effect done, excellent. What is this one? It was a blur effect. Let's check out. Okay, highlight that. And then I go into effect editor again, and now here's the blur. So how much do I want to blur it out? Blur visible, acceleration. In all truth, I've never used the Avid blur. Alright, well, I'll talk about your wrong effect to use. Maybe I'll just get rid of that one. I'll use something I can deal with. I'm just going to remove that effect, so you can use this to remove that effect. There, it's taken it off. And instead, let us use a, I don't know, color effect. Sure. Color effect, highlight it. There we go. And so I'll make it brighter. Or I'll take the brightness down. No, it'll just be a silhouette. There we go. Now again, this Avid is not known for its effects. It's mostly meant to deal with media and media management. It is like the director of the post-production side. So if you want to get into other special effects, you should go into like Nuke or After Effects to start dealing with some of this stuff. But it can do kind of temp effects. So anyway, those are just a way to you find your effects in this purple box, which is your effect tab. These are your video effects categories. These are your audio effect categories. and then you just click, drag, and drop it onto which one you think works. Then you can step into it or step out to it using these, step in or step out, as well as just double clicking. Alright, and to remove it, again, just highlight the clip you want to, press remove effect, and yeah, so that's kind of that. Oh, effects presets. So, under bins, you might want to make one called effects. And you could probably put this in your assets bin, but take a look here. I have my effects bin, so maybe I'll step into it and let's say I go to film, or what was it again? Image, then color correction, put that one on. So let's say we go into the color correction one and we go into effects mode and I bring down my saturation again. Alright, and let's say this is a preset that I want to save. Well, what I can do is just click, drag, and drop that into this effects bin. So now I've made a preset. Alright, so we get out of there. Let's pull up another clip. There, just a different one. I'll put it onto my tab. So this is a brand new clip. And with my preset under effects, I can just plop it on and boom. So now we have these presets of effects. Alright, so pretty useful stuff. I'm always happy to have that. Then if you want, sometimes you have to render these effects. So you have to go make your in and your out point, highlight which tracks you want to render, right click and choose render in and out. And it'll tell you, oh look, you have two effects to render. Where do you want to render them to? To my hard drive. Press OK. And like the effects I did today are really easy to do, but you might have some real complicated effects. Like I know blurring is always very intense processing power, so it won't play back in real time. It will be kind of laggy and it will jump around. So this way, if you render it, it can play back in real time, which is very useful if you want to do preview of your work. Do a preview of your work, I mean. Alright, so this is almost finishing rendering. Alright, cool. So now we have our effect. It's all rendered out. Pretty useless effect, but okay, that's the way to do it. The next thing I've got to teach you about is the keyframing effect. Alright, keyframing, now that's a new story. So here's where you're probably going to use it the most. You go to Blend, 3D Warp. This is the really common effect. So here's Blend. I go into the effects mode. So say, for example, we were working with 4K footage. Now we can use this property to scale in, punch in, and reframe within the shot in post-production. So you can see how this can be really useful, especially when you have those bigger cameras and whatnot. Okay, but let's go through an actual real-world example. Let's say I want to pan a little bit. So I want to punch in, so I'll scale it up by, say, I almost never go past 20% if it's on an HD footage, but for tutorial sake. And let's just say I'm going to delete this keyframe, delete this keyframe. Alright, so my first keyframe is going to be from here. I'll make a keyframe here. Alright, so add to open groups. There, it's going to be set, it's going to set this scale because this is active and this is active. And it's made a keyframe. It's at this position, at this scale, at this point in time. So if I want to move it, I have to go down the timeline. I have to make a keyframe, add to open groups, and now I have to change the value for that keyframe I've just made. Okay, I'm going off the screen there, but you get the idea. So let's take a look. There you go. You can start to see it move over to the left. So always remember to make your keyframe first and then change the value. So, and then you can, you know, either right-clicking and choose delete keyframes or all sorts of different stuff. You can then change the value between them by adding a spline or a Bezier curve. Second, if we add the graph, oops, actually I'm not going to go into that. I'll leave the Bezier curves and stuff like that for later. Okay, so this has been a real quick overview about how to keyframe effects. In all honesty, the most things you'll be using is 3D warp, which allows you to do post-production moves, scale, position. Maybe you have to do a, as we mentioned before, in film, is it image? Yeah, image, where you flip the image from left to right, or you're flopping the image from like top to bottom or bottom to the top. Those are very common ones. Color correction is also very common, although no color correction is not too bad, but there are stronger editing systems out there. At Capilano, I believe you have DaVinci Resolve, which is a much more powerful color correction tool, but it's also a whole other system to learn. So for now, for basic coloring, you can do this and just begin working in your effect editor. So, and again, you can make these presets and then apply them to each clip as you need. Anyway, I hope that's helped you out. That is a brief tutorial on effects. End recording.